Good morning and welcome to Greece. My name's Andrew and I live here. And in the last 25 years, I must have hired literally 100 cars, both here in Greece and in the UK when I go to see family. And these are my 12 tips about how to get best value out of them and how to avoid problems, because let's face it, hiring a car can be a bit stressful. So hopefully these tips will be useful to you. Now today I'm at Athens International Airport and my first tip is very, very simple. Book as early as you can, and I mean 4 to 6 months in advance. Both Greece and the UK have peak periods. In Greece it's July and August, and I can tell you 1st of July, hire car prices in Greece double. And if you book late, you will pay a lot of money if you can find what you want, and you may not be able to. You may be left with the dregs, the really expensive Mercedes, the BMWs, etc. And that's if there's anything left. And it's the same in the UK. Christmas time, you try and hire a car close to Christmas, no chance in the UK, particularly at the airports. You need to hire months in advance, and even then they'll probably want you to hire for a minimum of 7 days. So my very, very strong advice is hire really early. Hire January, February if you're going in June or July or August, and you will probably save 60%. I've watched online and had a certain degree of pleasure, actually, I'll be honest with you, watching the prices rise and knowing that I've secured my hire car. So can't recommend it strongly enough. Book in advance. Number 2 is obvious, very simple and yet rarely done. Read the small print before you sign, because once you've signed, you're contractually obligated to whatever is in the small print. So if, for example, the small print says you cannot drive more than 100 kilometers a day, and you do, there will be an excess charge. I've seen so many people bringing cars back and being shocked by the fact that they're now being charged extra because they didn't read that there was a 100-kilometer a day limit on their car. It can become very expensive very quickly. Likewise, they will often detail what they consider to be damage and what the costs of that damage will be. Broken windscreen, chipped bonnet, etc. These things you can't necessarily avoid when you're driving. So read the small print, know what you're getting into before you sign. And if you're not happy, refuse to sign. Maybe you have to go and hire another car, but you don't want to leave yourself open to extreme terms and conditions. Number 3, very simple. Don't pay for more than you need. Everyone wants to upsell you all the time, that bigger car, that better brand, more luggage space. Ask yourself, do I actually need it? Because they rank cars in A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Do you need a G? A G is probably a big Mercedes, you know, sunroof, automatic, sports engine, whereas a B is perhaps a two-seater Fiat Punto, will take one case, you know, no automatic, should have air conditioning, hopefully, especially in Greece. But ask yourself, what do I need? What do I want to pay for? If there's 2 of you, get a small car. If you know there are a family of 6, get a people carrier. But don't pay for more than you need, particularly because the insurance will cost you more, the petrol will cost you more, and if you have an accident, God forbid, that will cost you more. Now, the next one is insurance, and in particular, excess insurance. You have to take out some basic insurance when you hire a car to cover personal indemnity, to cover damage should you run into someone. But they will always try and upsell you further insurance. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't take this, but my advice would be buy it separately online. Excess insurance, just search excess insurance online and buy a policy which is appropriate to the country you're in and the car that you're hiring. It will save you a lot of money. And I have, again, in the islands in particular, been behind people when the operative behind the desk has said, no, this insurance is not valid, you have to take out our insurance. I'm sorry, that is not true. As long as you have the right policy, as long as it covers you for where you are and the car you're driving, you can take out that policy anywhere. So be very clear about what you're buying and whether you need to pay for it. Number 5, it's very simple. Inspect the car fully before you sign documents and take it from the lot. And if you can, as a minimum, take photos from every angle inside and out, but ideally film it, because if there's a dispute when you return the car, if they claim that there was a chip that you caused, or damage to a tyre that you caused, or damage to the interior that you caused, and you can prove with video or photos that that damage was there when you picked the car up, you're home and dry. Hire companies have no argument for that. And the number of people who just get in the car, drive off, and don't think about inspecting it or recording carefully what is on the car before they drive out of the lot just amazes me. Likewise, little tip, don't pick up a Greek hire car at night. Pick it up during the daylight when you can actually inspect the thing properly. Because if you pick it up at night, how on earth can you see that chip or that blemish or that dent that they're going to penalise you for significantly when you bring the car back? Now, my number 6 is very simple. If you hire cars regularly, I would recommend that you try and use one company, because there are benefits to using one company, being a member of their loyalty programs, shall we say, and becoming a premium member or whatever it happens to be. I used to use Avis a lot. Now, I'm not recommending Avis, I'm not recommending any company in this video, but because I used Avis so frequently, almost every time we picked up a hire car, I would hire a band B or C car, I would always get upgraded to a D or E car because I was a regular customer, because I was a card holder, because I had that premium membership. It didn't cost me anything, but it was worth a lot to me. And I would highly recommend that if you are a regular hire car user, try and use the same company and over, because there are real benefits to doing so. Now, hire company and pick up and drop off location in particular is really important, especially at the airport. I've always used Avis at the airport. I'm not recommending them, but they have an office inside. They have a compound located just 2 or 3 minutes walk from the terminal. It's really easy to turn up, pick up your keys, go to the car, drive off. It takes 10 minutes. My brother-in-law, ex-brother-in-law, bit of an idiot, he went on and on to me about how he was saving huge amounts of money when he came here to Greece to visit us. He was going to go with this company that he'd found. They didn't have an office on the airport, but they would meet him straight off the plane. They'd bring the hire car. Well, 40 minutes later, having called them, they turned up with his hire car. And then what happened? He got in the hire car, we drive off. He calls me within 3 minutes and says, "Is there a petrol station nearby, Andrew?" I said, "Yeah, sure, why?" "Oh, there's no petrol in the hire car." Well, you get what you pay for. You use a reputable company, they should fill it with petrol in advance, and they shouldn't keep you waiting 40 minutes at the airport to pick up your car. Indeed, when we came back, we had to come back an hour early because he had to drop the car off at their compound and then get a bus that they would provide to the airport. He knew that was going to take an hour because he had such a bad experience previously. So I'm a firm believer you get what you pay for, but use your common sense again. If you're at the airport, if you're going to an island, you want to pick up a hire car at the port or at the airport. You don't want to have to trek off somewhere for 40 minutes or wait 40 minutes for a car to be potentially delivered. Well, number 8 is sneaky tricks. Watch out for sneaky tricks to ramp up costs. I have seen before people getting charged because there was a spare tyre missing or there was no parcel shelf. Someone tried to do me once because there was no car aerial. Now, there was no car aerial when I picked up the car. We never had any radio right the way through our journey. But when I would drop the car back, "Oh, you've lost your car aerial, someone's stolen it, we're going to charge you for that." No, you need to be aware of this. You need to be clever when you pick up these cars, and you need to say, "Is there a parcel shelf? If not, I want it noted on the document. Is there a spare tyre? If not, noted on the documents. Is there, believe it or not, a car aerial? If not, note it on the documents." And when you inspect the car, don't just look outside, look inside as well. If there's a scratch on the seat, if there's a mark on the seat, they may well charge you for that. So make sure it's noted on the documents. Now, my tip number 9 is another obvious one, but you'd be surprised how many people think it's not going to matter or catch up with them. And that is simply when you're driving in the country that you are driving in, don't break the law. Know the speed limit, know the rules, know where you can park, because the consequences will come back and bite you. If you get a speeding ticket, if you get a parking ticket, my very strong advice is pay it off yourself at the local police station or wherever you're meant to go before you take the car back. Because if you leave it, you will find that it follows you. The car company will contact you to reimburse them for the costs of the ticket, which they will have paid, and they will charge you a significant admin fee for it. So it's almost always cheaper to A, not break the law, but B, if you do break the law, take the consequences and pay for it yourselves in advance. Don't let the hire company find out. Don't let them charge you for completing the service themselves. Now, number 10, very simple. Accidents do happen. And if you do damage the car, you have 2 choices. You tell a hire car company or you fix it yourself. Now, if you fix it yourself, it may be sensible to do so, because if it's a very small element of damage, let's say you've broken a tail light or something, it's very easy to fix. They will not notice it. If it's significant damage, however, I would advise that you're probably better off telling the hire car company, because if you try and fix it yourself and they notice, even if you have it done professionally, they will still charge you and you'll be taking a double hit. So it's really down to your experience and your guesstimate as to how much the damage is going to cost to fix, what the cost is going to be on your excess, should you not have excess insurance, and therefore whether it's worth getting it fixed in advance of taking it back to the hire car company. But it's not always best to take the car back with a broken tail light and take a €750 excess charge when you can probably fix that tail light for 20 or 30 euros yourself. Now, my number 11 mirrors what I said earlier about not picking up a hire car at night, which is, if you have a chance, drop the hire car off at night after dark, because the inspector will still have to inspect the car. And if there is a very small ding or a very small scratch or a very small chip in it, and he signs the paperwork and lets you go without noticing it, then you are in the clear, to be honest. It won't come back and bite you. But you do need to obviously be honest. I'm not suggesting you commit fraud in any way. I'm just suggesting that there are advantages sometimes to taking a hire car back at night. And number 12, my final tip, is make sure you take it back on time and get all the paperwork signed. You would not believe how many horror stories I've heard where people assumed that they could just take the car back late and wouldn't be penalised for it. Well, yes, you will. And it won't just be the rate that you've been paying, it will be the rate that's applicable at that time, which in the holiday period could be a horrific rate because you're causing a huge problem to the hire car company. So take it back on time and make sure that they sign off all the paperwork when you do, because that is your only protection against them coming back at a later date and saying, oh, we found this chip, or oh, the parcel shelf was missing, or oh, the spare tyre had been used. So just be common sense and take it back on time, get the paperwork signed. But ultimately, whatever you're doing, enjoy it, because perhaps you're on holiday, perhaps you're hiring for work, I don't know. But you know, the hire car companies, in the majority of cases, I don't think are out to rip you off. But if you don't follow some simple tips and rules, there is a very good chance it will end up costing you far more than you wanted it to. But the employees themselves are exactly that. They're employees. They're not necessarily there to try and rip you off. Be sensible, follow my tips, think on your feet, and you should just pay for what you think you're going to pay for. I hope this has been useful. I hope you watch some of my other videos and enjoy your holiday or wherever you are going. Thank you.